A few years ago, Montgomery County began discussion on several policies impacting our national recognized Ag Reserve. The policies were assigned to the Ag Reserve Working Group to look at recommendations as how we can best protect and to enhance this national treasure of ours. One of the recommendations, and one of the persons most responsible for it, we'll call him in just a moment to say a word or two, decided to help in the development of the Building Lot Termination program. And this initiative is a very important initiative that I think will help us to stabilize, to expand, and to continue to ensure that we had agricultural land that is in the county for agricultural use. After several years of planning and enacting the regulations, we're excited to announce today the first BLT easement acquisition that protected over 200 acres from the farmland owned by Drew Stabler. The BLT program. The BLT program is unique because we are simultaneously implementing both a public and private partnership to acquire BLT easements. The BLT program provides a landowner, such as Mr. Stabler, the option to sell a BLT easement through either public or private transaction. The BLT actually terminates a septic absorption area of each BLT easement that is acquired. We are here today to celebrate this first BLT acquisition and to recognize Drew Stabler, who continues to demonstrate his ongoing commitment of himself and his family for agricultural preservation in Montgomery County. The BLT easement acquisition is the Drew family farm home in Laytonville. On behalf of Montgomery County, I want to commend you for your commitment in keeping agriculture viable in Montgomery County. And we really do appreciate your effort and that of your family. The county will be conducting a second BLT easement purchase at the end of the next month. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's event. Together, we are making a difference. I'm going to ask Mr. Stabler to come forward because we want to make sure that you're actually on camera so that we can really show our appreciation for you. Thank you so very much on behalf of all of our citizens for what you've done.
Thank you.
This is really a very strong statement and will be remembered for many years to come.
Thank you, sir.
Without this type of effort, I don't think we can move forward. I'm going to call on the members of the County Council and also former council members, Mike Knapp, to say a word because Mike represented a good part of what we see today as the Ag Reserve in Montgomery County, and it worked for many years to help protect and to preserve it. So first of all, I'm going to call the head of the Fed Committee, and then George, and then Mike and Mr. Clifford and Phil. Nancy.
Thank you, Ike. I'm Nancy Floreen, head of the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee, and worked with Mike Knapp when he chaired this committee when he was on the council. This is a great initiative for Montgomery County and really demonstrates our commitment to both preserving the agricultural reserve, long time, big time, and what has not been mentioned is that we are requiring the use of these building lot termination rights basically in our urban areas. So this is a requirement in our new commercial zone, and it's in place in Twin Brook and other parts of the county. And it's due to the thinking of Jim Clifford. Come on over here, Jim, so everyone can see your smiling face. Mr. Clifford, attorney who represents landowners and many farmers throughout the Up County, said, really, what can we do there to preserve in long-term perpetuity the land that we treasured so much? Mr. Clifford came up with this concept, and we and my colleagues took the ball and ran with it, and I don't know if there's any place else in the country that has this kind of vigorous solution, both to preserving ag land and to transferring those development rights to our urban locations. Mr. Clifford, would you like to say a quick word before I turn the mic over to Mr. Leventhal?
Sure. I want to be sure that the credit is put in the right place. This was a farmer initiative. This idea came out of agriculture. It was a proactive move to try to let the farmers take some of the homes that are otherwise permitted by zone, take them off their farms and preserve their farms. The real heavy lifting was done by a lot of the people in this room, by John Zalkowski, by Jay Chris, by folks who have been on committees for the last 7 years. I learned that this is a complicated process, getting a piece of legislation. I thought it was an easy idea when I went to Nancy with this to begin with. Thought maybe 6, 7 months we could get this thing knocked out, and 6, 7 years later, here we are. So
there you go.
it is a good idea, and a lot of people deserve credit for it. And I want to thank everybody that got into this, including the council, who really picked it up and ran with it. Thank you.
George?
Great. Well, this is complicated. And the bottom line is that we are going to protect our farmland, 1/3 of the county, forever. And that's the simplest way to explain it. When you're in elected office, you deal with a lot of things that are temporary. We count votes over a zoning text amendment that affects a very small portion of land. We have intense discussion every year over a budget, which only affects the government from year to year. But the building lot termination program is about forever. It's about perpetuity. It's about making sure that Montgomery County, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, and beyond, preserves agricultural land and open space. And that requires the participation of the owners of that land. And so that's what we're commemorating today, is a partnership between county government that had the vision, but that didn't impose the vision other than through a cooperative agreement and a partnership with the owners of the land. That's really something to celebrate. And I'm proud to have appointed the Ad Hoc Agricultural Working Group back in 2006, from which Mr. Clifford's suggestion emerged, along with Mike Knapp and Nancy Floreen. I worked with the state legislature to make sure that ALARF funds, the land acquisition funds that are available to Park and Planning, can be put to this purpose, because although Park and Planning believes in the concept of an ag reserve, they were not delighted with the idea that the money that they like to spend to acquire new parks would instead, or in addition to acquiring new parks, would be spent to acquire easements and prevent residential or commercial development in our agricultural reserve. But that was the right outcome, and the General Assembly went along with it, and what we celebrate today is the result of that. I hope that over time, and it is amazing how long these things take, we will get what Councilmember Floreen referred to, deposits of private set-asides into our BLT fund, as well as Park and Planning's land acquisition money, which is being used for today's purchase. And it's complex. You have to explain it, and then you have to explain it again, because down where I live about as close to the District of Columbia line as you can and still be a resident of Montgomery County. A lot of people who live in my neighborhood don't know that there are farms in Montgomery County. They may never have traveled north of Germantown or west of Germantown, and so it's a constant education process, because there are costs involved. But it's worth it, because we want our children and their children to continue to appreciate and enjoy the richness of our agricultural heritage and the beauty of our agricultural land.
Thank you. I'm going to call on the former council member, Mike Knapp, to say a word. As indicated a moment ago, Mike represented the district that really has the bulk of not just about all of the agricultural land in Montgomery County. And this is something that he's worked on and really cherishes because of his work and leadership in the area. Mike?
Thank you, sir. You've heard everybody say it's been a pretty complicated process, and it was. But I think Jane Evans, who's here, who served on that ad hoc advisory committee that Mr. Leventhal put together, said it briefly out in the lobby as we were waiting to come in, and that is, it worked. It took us a long time, but it was a process that people were committed to preserving agriculture in our community. We put together a committee of representatives and of interests in the county. They sat, they met. Many people in this room sat for many, many hours, didn't they, Drew? As a result, a series of recommendations came forward, and from those recommendations, which were all commitment to preserving agriculture in perpetuity for our community, this BLT program was one of the leading elements that came out of that. And 6 years later, it's implemented and it's working. And I think it shows a real commitment on the part of government, the private sector, our agricultural community, to recognizing what needs to get done and to put all the interests, put their interests aside, recognizing the preservation of agriculture is the most important thing. And how do we do that and make that work in an effective way? And what we have today is democracy in action, coming through to fruition with a very successful program that will make sure that we're not just preserving open space, but we're preserving agriculture and a way of life for our community for the rest of Montgomery County. And I think that that's a critically important thing for everybody to keep their eye on the ball with. And so I just want to thank everybody for their efforts in getting us here. As you all know, this is just one step in the process, and we've got to keep on top of this and be vigilant and make sure we find more and more opportunities like Mr. Stabler has presented with us. Jeremy and John are doing a great job of making sure that the county government is looking at that, but we've got to make sure that we as a community are focused on that. And so I just want to thank everyone for their efforts and thank you all for the opportunity to be with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. As indicated earlier, we could not be at this point today without all of you working to help make this possible. But ultimately, we could not make this happen without a willing partner. And the big partner and the first partner to really push us over the hump and to get us started here was Mr. Stabler. So I again want to thank you, Mr. Stabler. I'd like to say a word or two. Please come forward.
Yes. Yes, I am Drew Stabler, a landowner and a farmer in the Laytonsville area. And farm's called Sunny Ridge Farm. And partners are the 7th and 8th generation, father and son that are my partners in the county that have farmed here. I have a heritage of agriculture, and I wanted to try to keep it going forward for the future, and this program gave us an opportunity to do that. The preservation programs that are available in the county from the state programs and some of the other programs have kept land open for agriculture and open space, and as long as agriculture is profitable, we will be able to utilize that space for the production of food and for the citizens of this country and the world. I was fortunate to be part of the planning of this concept, and so I think I understood it maybe a little better than some, but I felt that it was a concept that we wanted to utilize. My family and I wanted to utilize and preserve agriculture and give my partners a base for the future of land that we owned. We have used these funds for purchasing additional farmland in our area, trying to extend our base so that we will have enough land in one area to make a good farming operation for the future. But I think that it is a program that we need to support as citizens, and it is good for the county, and I sure appreciate everyone's help in making it happen. And there will be other people that benefit from it, and I hope we can also use it some more in the future.
Thank you.